Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today for Thursday, October 23rd. It's Alexis Garcia here, and the major indexes rebounding today as fresh earnings reports came in from Tesla and IBM. There was also some movement on oil prices thanks to Russia sanctions. So, here with me to help break down all the news you need to know about today's trading action is IBD News editor Ed Carson. So, Ed, what do you have on tap for us today?
Yeah, well, we're going to take a look at Tesla. Nice bullish move today, and also bullish moves by CrowdStrike and Las Vegas Sands.
Oh, yeah, feeling bullish after kind of a rocky day yesterday. Ed, we have our YouTube commenters in the chat, and I think yesterday with you and Ken, market's kind of driving people to some desperate places right now, but want to keep an eye on that there. But we're checking in on the major indexes first. The S&P 500 up 0.6% today. The Dow up 0.3%. The Nasdaq up 0.9%, and small caps leading the way up 1.3%. So I'm going to go ahead and get my screen share going, Ed, but talk to me about the market action. It just seems like there's been a bit of chop. It's driving people a little bit nutty. But the S&P 500 today finishing in the upper half of that range and not so far off highs.
Yeah, it really puts even yesterday's in perspective because we bounced off the lows, but it was a down day. But here we are, and we continued that bounce off the 21-day line. A lot of leading stocks to the two, and that's really important because the indexes were fine. Ultimately, it wasn't that great. It's not really moving that much within that range. It was leading stocks that were beneath the surface. And then when you look at market conditions, you look at the major indexes and the leading stocks, and the indexes were fine really ultimately. It's been choppy, but the leading stocks showed damage today. A lot of them rebounded. Some cleared buy points, some set up. But so definitely more encouraging. But is this the top of another sine wave that goes and we're heading back down, or is this the cusp of something real? And it's just hard to know. This is difficult. Do you step in here, make a pilot buy, or do you say, I'm going to wait for a little while? It's a tough. This is why choppy markets are so tough.
And I'm just jumping over to the NASDAQ composite here, Ed, and similar action here, the chop, but again, nice move today, finishing in the upper half of that trading range. And it looks like tech was really a strong point today.
Yeah, definitely a strong area. And you had Tesla, you had a lot of names in the space, some speculative names, a lot of names that were going out there, but it was also industrials, aerospace, there was energy. We're going to look at a casino. So there was some breadth to this rally today. It was a much more encouraging performance, and all the major indexes are pretty close to record highs, and it really wouldn't take much at all to get to new high ground here.
Yeah, and I just want to check quick in on small caps since that also had a nice move today, up about 1.3%. And again, after the last couple trading days, pulling back, close below the 21-day line, but moving higher today.
Yeah, back above the 21-day. That's just a nice sign there. So, yeah, just a nice action here as well.
All right, well, let's check in on some sector ETFs, starting with FFTY. That's the IBD 50 ETF. We can see, again, more rebounding here, up 3.5% today after flirting with the 50-day line yesterday.
Yeah, really strong bounce. And you can see this is more of an indication of how there's been this, real choppy action. And some of this might be gold stocks, and there's some speculative names that have been in there, but still, a lot of stocks have had this kind of violent action. And the index is like, oh, okay, this and that, ups and downs, and yeah, but so really encouraging, but it's also you can see how people might be a little queasy after this kind of ride.
And let's take a look at software. That's IGV. This up 1.1% today. And again, retaking this 21-day line, but it seems like it's been stuck in this range here after hitting this 117 high.
Stuck in this range, though a number of them did clear buy points, including CrowdStrike. And this one, this one didn't fall that much yesterday. And again, some of it there's certain weightings in there, but while some, you want to look for on down days like that, look for the stocks that show relative strength. And some of these names didn't fall that much yesterday, which was an encouraging sign.
And let's take a look at GLD. That's the Gold Shares ETF. This up about 0.4% today, but falling off the intraday highs today, Ed. But thoughts here. This has had such a great run, but now it seems like struggling to stay above this 10-day line.
Well, I found support at the 21-day line. That was nice to see. And actually, if you call up GDX, that found support at the 50-day line. That's the miners ETF. And miners tend to swing up and down more than gold because a couple of dollars in gold isn't that much for you and me holding gold, but it means a lot for the profitability of miners. Uh, yeah, I mean, look, it was getting parabolic, or it was really sharp incline. And I'll be honest, it's an odd situation. And, many have commented on it, gold surging while growth stocks are doing well. It's just a weird combination. So maybe it just needs to pause and base. I mean, you see how gold based for several months, and then it took off again. So maybe you need a break, whether it's a few days, a few weeks. So it's not necessarily the end. It was probably just, no, we need to take, it was getting speculative. And then so speculative names were getting hit. And when gold becomes speculative like that, I guess it just needed to take a break.
All right, let's look at ITA. That is the aerospace and defense sector. Another winner today, up 2.4%.
Yeah, some nice action. Some stocks moved back into buy zones. So there was definitely an encouraging day. If you don't want to just be in tech, there's some strong, solid growth or strong growth aerospace names to be looking at too.
And let's just wrap up with a look at OHI. I'm
O-
sorry,
OI, OIH.
OIH.
I probably
It's been a long week. That is the oil services ETF, a gainer today, up more than 5%. So thoughts here, Ed?
Yeah, oil prices surged because, right as you were sort of alluding to, the Trump administration is moving towards sanctioning some big names. But also, if you called up FTI, I'm not sure if this is technically in the oil services group, but machinery, but this one surged. We are not looking at this one, but we could have. And this looks a lot like Las Vegas Sands, big gap up on earnings. So there's definitely some oil stocks that are outperforming, uh, the overall sector.
And I know we kind of got ahead of ourselves here, but did you want to take a look at market breadth with RSP just
Uh,
again to talk about the stocks participating here? Because it seems like there was maybe some broader participation today. This one up almost 0.5%.
Yeah, I mean, this is fine. I mean, not too different from the S&P, and it didn't fall too much yesterday. It's right in the top of the upper half of its range. It's holding above the 21-day line. Near highs, of course, like all the other, like the indexes, wouldn't take much to start looking negative again either.
All right, Ed. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at some individual stocks. As you mentioned, some bullish moves today. So let's just kick it off with Tesla. This one up 2.3% on that earnings report yesterday. They had a surprise miss there, Ed, but it seems like investors are reacting to maybe some of the more positive things they saw in that earnings report. So, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, you could take it anyway because Musk said similar things, but he said positive things. And so if you could say it's old news and sell it off, or you could say, wow, he's really positive. Look at this, and ultimately that's how things shook out. And last quarter was sort of a one-off. Either way, like however you want to view it, big upside reversal from the 21-day line. Nice shakeout. I mean, honestly, that's a nice shakeout. It has been a volatile handle. That this is sort of a handle to this long base, but getting that shakeout is nice, and that's it. It didn't undercut it, and you could a longer one would be fine. If it got above Monday's highs, which is almost at 450, that would be an early entry. It almost got there within a few pennies, didn't quite get there, so it could do that soon in any moment, or it could pause for a while. But yeah, I mean, obviously, look, it's not the earnings in the now or in the near future. It's about hopes for self-driving and robots, and so uh, you know, eh, market was encouraged by the conference call ultimately, and but this is definitely one that you have to play off the technicals.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and shift over to CrowdStrike. That's ticker CRWD. This one up 4.4% today. And another one here that tested this buy point. It undercut that pivot point, but now back above into a buy zone.
Yeah, there's a few of these software makers that today they bounced from around their 21-day line on Monday, and by now is moving higher. On Wednesday, you can see didn't fall that much. I mean, it held up very
Mhm.
well when you think about the relative strength. Really strong performance there. So, but today, strong volume. No, well, up slightly above average volume. Moved above 507. If you wanted to treat the high like from like 510 or whatever it was as the high, well, it got above that too. It got above all-time highs. So it's nice to get above all that. The relative strength line isn't at a high, but it's above all that handle high. It's above the last several weeks of that. The earnings aren't that great right now, but that's because it's still dealing with the aftermath from a year earlier's that global internet shutdown or disruption. But that is the goal. Hope is that it turns around. So really nice performance. This is one of the early ones to sort of actually go, hey, this is actually in a buy zone this morning.
All right, well, let's head on over to Vegas with Las Vegas Sands Ed. This up 12.5% on earnings. Nice jump here. Again, building up the right side of this consolidation, 58.05 buy point there, but retaking some key moving averages here, Ed.
Yeah, gapping up, moving averages. I got above this 55-ish, early entry. You could have bought that. You could still do it, but now at this point, you might just say, well, I'm going to wait to see if it can form a handle because it is already a fair amount above the 50-day line. But really, really nice action here. The earnings are starting to, the revenue growth picked up again. Picked up again. Strong earnings. This is not a Vegas. I don't think it has any Vegas properties anymore. It's a Macau, Singapore kind of play, and it was really strong. And it's getting above all this. If it can get above this base, it's basically going to clear everything from the last, almost the last 18 months. So, and, so that overhead resistance will basically be gone. The problem is the relative strength line has been terrible. I mean, let's be honest. It's made a bit of a recovery in the last several months, but nobody would say this is a long-term winner over the last few years, last several years. So that is an issue, but the earnings are looking strong here. Again, that's always an issue. It'll be choppy because you see this up and down. The house always wins, but it doesn't seem to always show up in the earnings line here. It just sort of been flat. So it was a nice performance here. I just also wanted to bring up because this is a name that you know really surprised today, overnight, and we saw a few names like this, like FTI and some others that gapped up within their bases. Maybe this is one that can consolidate. Maybe you look into this and see, hey, is there bullish trends? Are they seeing stronger growth? And we're going to see these estimates come up a little further going ahead.
And I just want to take a look at Intel, Ed. I think they have earnings posting sometime today. I think those are out, but this one up 3.4% today. And again, seems like it's trying to build a little bit of a shelf here after this big gain out of this consolidation back here in September.
Yeah, maybe that could be an add-on buy point. I don't know if it could really work for a new position. Another name that's really flying, and again, is Fix Comfort Systems. And this does like an air conditioning and other stuff. But hey, guess what? AI data centers run hot. And so this one is going to gap up. It's going to be crazy gap up. I mean, technically, it's bouncing from the 50-day line. Technically, on a weekly chart, it has a 3 weeks tight, but it's going to be way above that. But if nothing else, so that makes it tough. But it's encouraging to see this name because you want to see these AI plays. See some evidence. We're going to see the big giants, see how much we're really spending. But still, it's nice to see Comfort Systems. And there's been some other names that have had positive earnings. But makes a little confidence. And I do want to mention, I forgot to mention, tomorrow morning we have the CPI. Probably won't be that big of a deal ultimately because I think a rate cut is locked in. But China trade talks start, and then we have a slew of news over the next week. So a lot of things, that investors should be just paying attention to in the next several days.
All right, Ed. Well, thank you so much for your insights today. That wraps it up for this edition of Stock Market Today. If you want more market analysis, be sure to tune in tomorrow morning, starting with IBD Live. You can head on over to investors.com/IBD Live for all the details there. And of course, tomorrow, Justin Nielsen and Mike Webster will be back in the hot seat here, giving their weekly wrap up of the market. So you won't want to miss that special extended version of Stock Market today. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you back here after the closing bell.